The Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe in the studio. How bad was it trying to get out of Atlanta earlier this week?
It took me a little over 13 hours to go 38 miles.
In your car?
In my car.
So what'd you do? Cry?
No, because I knew there were people that was worse off than I was. And, you hear stories, some people have been on the road for 17 hours, 20 hours, some people had to sleep. The thing for me, I Googled my Hall of Fame speech. I watched myself parachuting, parachuting the Mile High when I got inducted into the Ring of Fame. I mean, just anything just to keep my mind, occupied. But it was tough. I mean, to see all those people that were stranded, because I knew eventually I was going to get home, but it was just a tough process. And I was like, hey, it could be worse. I could be out of gas and have to spend the entire night in my car on the interstate.
You're going to the airport to try to fly out?
Yes. I had a 4:45 scheduled at 4:45. I left my house at around 1:30, 1:45. It took me 2 hours and 12 minutes to go 1 mile. So at that point, I said, there's a good chance I'm not going to make this flight. But they started pushing the flight back. So, okay, now we have a takeoff time at 5:45. I was like, okay, there's a chance. So it took me another 2 hours to go, say, 10 miles. They push it back again to 6:30. I was like, yeah. And then as I get closer to the airport, I start seeing all these trucks. Now one's jackknifed. I'm not going to make that flight. It ended up taking off at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I said, okay, well, I'm turning around. And I pull it up on Google. It says, okay, how far? My home's in Buckhead. I said, it says 2 hours. I started on the way back, Dan.
Not a good idea.
I timed it. I went 100 yards in 3 hours. So at this point, everybody else had cut their cars off, turned off their headlights. I cut my car off and lights off, and I just sit back and just make the most of a bad situation, and eventually I make it home.
So Atlanta, when they hosted the Super Bowl, you had this kind of weather.
2000.
Yeah, you had an ice storm there. Could you imagine if the Super Bowl was in Atlanta this week?
No, kind of like what happened in Dallas, a couple of years ago when they had the ice storm. The thing is that we don't normally get ice, and we don't have that kind of accumulation over a short period of time. And to exacerbate a situation, they closed the schools, they let people go home, and the federal and the government agencies. Everybody went home at once. So no matter how many lanes you have, you got 200,000 people on the road at once. It's going to be backlog. And so now all of a sudden, the snow is coming down, it's starting to freeze, and so now you got all ice. The whole interstate is a sheet of ice. Me, having played 12 years in Denver, had 2 years in Baltimore, I'm fine. Even plus I have an SUV, so I'm able to maneuver and understand that all of a sudden you're not going to be able to go 20. You're probably going to have to take it down to 10, maybe 5 miles an hour to be careful. I see people in regular cars with two-wheel drive, and they're going 30 and 40, and then I get a little further up, I see them in the ditch, you see?
He's Shannon Sharpe joining us this week. But I'm always curious when you have players from the South who play in cold weather. The stats that we always had with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because you're warm weather climate team, and then you go and you play in 40-degree temperatures.
Right.
Did you have that? And your brother played in Green Bay. Did you have that moment where you said, "I just embrace it"? Like you can't do anything other than I got to play in it.
Well, the game, you have adrenaline. You have hot seats. In practice is where you have to get your mind right, because you're out there for 2.5, 3 hours. There are no hot seats. There is no 75,000 fans. There is no introduction. And basically, when you're up, the defense is standing on the sideline. They're cold. Now all of a sudden it's the defensive period. You're standing on the sidelines. You're getting cold. So that was the thing I had to get my mind used to. And then once I got my mind used to that, I saw my brother going out there and with no sleeves on. I started doing it because it gives the defensive players less things to grab. The more layers you have on, the easier it is for them to grab you. And in a situation like this, I would be very surprised if I saw any offensive players, especially your skill set positions, wearing sleeves on Sunday.
Yeah, but you wanted to show off your arms.
No, I was.
I mean, I don't blame you, but
no. At first, I didn't start out by going sleeveless. Because I was not only competing against the other team, I was competing against the weather too. And sometimes it was winning. So I bundled up, but I found out by the middle of the second quarter, they had torn it because they had grabbed me and tried to prevent me from going where I wanted to go. And so I just found if I take that clothing off, it would be harder for those guys to grab me, and so it really worked out for me. And then after a while, I'd do a couple of push-ups before I came out, put the Vaseline on. It was really nice.
Wait, you did a party pump that, like, guys will go to a party before they go? They do, like Fritzy will do this. Like, you do a party pump where you do push-ups and then you go to the party.
Yeah, I do, a couple of push-ups, and then I get on the bench and do some dips, get the triceps going. So I was right.
I saw where Jimmy Graham wants to be classified as wide receiver because you get paid more. Why haven't tight ends caught up with wide receivers, given the value of the tight end in the NFL?
Well, for me, although I spent a lot of time out wide myself, I consider myself a tight end. I mean, and I understand why they're doing it now. I mean, I think Terrell Suggs started this a couple of years ago where he got classified instead of a linebacker, he was a DN because he had his hand in the dirt the majority of the time and he rushed the quarterback. And I understand the monetary side of it. But Jimmy Graham is a tight end. He does not line up exclusively outside the numbers. He doesn't line up exclusively outside the. Although sometimes he's like a wide receiver because I've seen some of his inline blocking, and to be 6'7", 255, 260, he kind of blocks like a wide receiver at times.
Wow.
But I understand why he wants to do it. I mean, because you're talking about a $6 million tag as opposed to a $10 million tag, and he saw what Calvin Johnson got. He saw what Larry Fitzgerald got. He wants those type of dollars. But I do think he will be, and deservingly so, the first $10 million a year tight end.
Who's the best tight end?
For my money, it's him. Now, healthy, and Gronkowski has yet to stay on the field an entire season, I would give the nod to Gronk. But because he hasn't stayed healthy, he's injured again, and you're starting to see more and more injuries, and it's taking him longer and longer to get back on the field. And the thing, as you get older, Dan, you don't get healthier. You break down even more. So I just don't know how many more surgeries, how much more his body can take. But right now, I'll take Jimmy Graham.
If you were going against Richard Sherman, and he was talking to you,
I would love that. I would love that. I don't know how much either one of us will get accomplished. But you would want to mic both of us, I can assure you of that.
But are you concerned, though, would your coach be concerned that you're getting out of your game, or you don't care about him, but are you getting out of your game?
No, I'm a professional talker. I'm the lip sparring champion. I'm undefeated. I'm 500-0. When it comes to this talk game, I'm 500-0. I promise you, Dan, there haven't been very many people in this entire civilization that can out-talk me.
Can your brother out-talk you?
No.
Really?
No. He talks more than I do, but I have more one-liners. I can be funnier.
Did you ever make fun of Elway?
Oh, yeah, of course.
To him?
Yeah, all the time.
Give me an idea.
The way he walks, he's pigeon-toed and his chest sticks out, and his chest is going this direction, his butt is going in that direction. all the time. But I was the only guy that would make fun of him. Mike, I would stand up in front of the team meeting room before Mike would come in, and I would talk like he would talk. Mr. Bolin, I got some shorts and I got his glasses. I went up to his office one day and got his glasses and had some shorts, cut them up real high like he would wear them back in the day. So when he came down to Greek's office, Steve Antonopoulos, that's our athletic trainer, we call him Greek. When he came down, I was sitting in the office with my arms folded like he would be sitting in there looking at him. He bust out laughing.
I noticed that you're endorsing Butterfinger.
Yeah.
For a receiver.
Yeah. This is the only Sunday is the only time. Because, I coined the phrase, during the highlights, I was like, his favorite candy bar is Butterfingers. Obviously, he's dropping the ball, he's fumbling the ball. But Sunday will be okay to eat the Butterfingers cup.
Wait, were you getting paid by Butterfingers
not
to
at the
drop
time.
that on CBS?
No. But I thought it was a funny line. Because, Dan, when you do highlights,
yeah,
you can't just say, okay, so, he scores a touchdown. You got to say tub, or you got to say, pick six, or take it to the house, or reservations for 6, something like that to get the people involved in it. And so I like it. You ought to try it.
Oh, I see you brought in Butterfingers.
Well,
Fritzy's already eaten his.
And number nine.
I think Paulie.
Who was number 9 at Ohio State?
Well, that's the Johnny.
Boston?
No, Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah?
Point Break. You ever see that movie with Keanu Reeves in Point Break?
No. I'm waiting on the book.
Are you kidding me?
No.
You got to see it.
I like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. That's it.
You'll love him.
Not Speed, not Point Break, Matrix.
You would love him in Point Break.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. You got a pick here? Don't go Denver. Are you going Denver to go Denver?
No, at the beginning of the season, these were the two teams that I had going to the Super Bowl. And I can't go against Denver. I mean,
you can.
Peyton, I mean, it's almost like it was destined for Peyton Manning to come to New York in this type of weather and win the Super Bowl to squash all the criticism about he can't win outdoors, he can't win the big game, he can't win when the temperature drops below whatever it is going to be on Sunday. And I think it's his time. And he wins this game. I said it early, and everybody, some people agree and some disagree. But given his body of work, he wins this game. He's the greatest quarterback to ever breathe on earth.
I don't think he's better than Elway. 5
MVPs. With two different
teams.
teams.
Who would you rather have quarterback?
Well, Elway got me a gold jacket. I'm not taking him over anybody. I don't care. You could have Joe Montana, Johnny Unitas, Otto Graham, Bart Starr, all of them. I'm taking John. I got played 14 years. I got a gold jacket. I got 2 Super Bowls because of that guy. So, but it's hard to deny 5 MVPs, Dan, with 2 different teams. It's hard to deny 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams. 55 touchdowns at 37 after 4 neck surgeries.
If Elway played now, if Montana played now, if Marino played now.
Yeah, but we can't do that now.
Well, we're giving credit to these guys because there's no defense anymore.
No. All you can do is play. I mean, you look at guys that played when there were only 12 games, and then guys that only play when there are only 14 games, and now you got 16, and eventually you're going to probably get to 18. So the numbers are going to, greatly increase. But you just look at what what quarterback has had more responsibility at the line of scrimmage than this young man?
But he wants it.
Exactly.
He got it.
That just goes. Nobody else wants it.
What, Elway couldn't have done this?
We're not talking about what he could have done. We're talking about what he did do.
I think your Hall of Fame jacket should just be, as you open it up, it's just pictures of Elway in there. Well, like the lining should just be John Elway.
You know what? I think he knows how I feel about him as a player and as a person. Like I said in my speech, he had no idea who Shannon Sharpe was. And for him to take me under his wing, I remember the first time I met him, in OTAs, and I called my sister, and I was like, John Elway is my quarterback. The first thing out of her mouth, she said, don't talk to him, don't say nothing to him. Because she knows my personality. She knows how I am. I meet you for, a minute or two, I got jokes. And so she was like, don't say anything to him, Shannon. You're not there to try to be funny. And, I was like, okay, I promise I won't say anything to him. Too late.
Can Fritzy do his Shannon Sharpe impersonation?
Go ahead.
I like the Denver Broncos to win 27-23. And by the way, I know Dan Marino's upset with me for something I said on the NFL Today on CBS. But he's got to find a way to get a couple of rings. If you don't get a couple of rings, buy them on eBay, auction, whatever you got to do. You are not one of the all-time greats unless you got some rings on your finger.
Dan, can I clear this up?
Okay.
I said on the NFL Today show,
yeah,
I said you can be great without winning a Super Bowl. You can be great. But I said to be in the conversation for greatest, EST, you need championships. It's a complete body of work.
You don't have to convince me.
No, but I'm saying because people say, well, you said Denver. I said, no. I said because there are guys that, Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson, there are guys that won Super Bowl rings. That's not great players. Dan didn't win one, but he's a great player. I say, but to get into that discussion with Elway and Montana and you have to, Bart Starr and Brady, you need those rings. But it's a complete body of work, and that's why if Peyton wins this one, I'm going to give him the greatest because his body of work will be greater than anyone's.
I feel like you're yelling at me here.
Nope.
He's Shannon Sharpe. I'm glad you braved the elements to.
You like my Miley Cyrus imitation?
No,
no
don't,
twerking.
No,
just a finger.
No, don't. I'll be Robin Thicke during the commercial. I'll play that. Blurred lines here. So Shannon Sharpe, courtesy of Butterfinger, they have new peanut butter cups. Great to see you as always.
Perfect marriage. Chocolate and peanut butter, crunchy.
Thank you, Shannon.